We have reached the championship week in all of our FSA leagues. We have a new king of the castle, and the rules for the all-team bowl will be explained tonight. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Well, that was weird. That's not the normal FSA intro. I don't know what's happening tonight. What would have caused the Average Bros show? Holy stuff! How are all of you tonight? We got
hi, Brian.
Bros and 2/3 of Empty Wagon with us tonight. How are you guys?
Good. I'm great. I feel like I'm stone cold and I just came out like surprise. Oh my gosh.
Where's the beer? There you go. Wait a minute. Everybody enjoy. Everybody take a swig.
Of course. I'm not driving, so we're fine.
Yes. Don't drink and drive. Just gonna put that out there now.
Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there. How is everybody? Damien says happy holidays to everyone, and Jenna's on. She says Merry freaking Christmas, boys. Jenna, how are you?
Woo!
So I think we're going to expect one more guy to join us here in a little bit. Has anybody heard from Eric yet?
Oh, he's busy, man.
He's a bit sleazy.
Awesome. Hey, before we get too deep into the show tonight, as always, we got to start off by thanking our broadcast sponsor, Football Darts. Football Darts is a dart game that combines the skill of traditional darts with the strategies of American football. This innovative dart game is played on a uniquely designed multiple target dartboard. It can be played in sports bars, at tailgate events, as league tournaments, or as a leisure activity in the comfort of your home. If you would like to check out their officially licensed collegiate dartboards, go to footballdarts.com. You can now find them online at Target, Wayfair, and Fanatics. And I'd like to say you could probably order one just in time for Christmas, but I don't think that's even a thing anymore. I'm still waiting on Christmas gifts to come to the family, and we're 2 days away from Christmas, so if they don't get here tomorrow, I have printed off pictures of those gifts. that is what they are going to get until the present gets here. So I hope that works out for them. So, hey, I got to listen to the Empty Wagon show this week, right? You guys did your Week 15 recap. I'm listening to it on my drive into work, and before I sign in for this Christmas break, I'm sitting there outside of the office, and I felt like I was in the studio with you guys because I'm just bouncing off of what all three of you are saying, like I was in there with you, saying the same stuff you guys are saying. How'd you guys feel about the show this past week?
I crushed it. I mean, I don't know what everybody else was doing, but
when you say crushed it, what exactly do you mean crushed it?
Oh, I crushed mine and other people's fantasy hopes. That's what I meant. Because it's fantasy football, man. We do the best we can with what we got, boys.
Yeah. I feel great.
Yeah.
We're doing what we love. Loving what we're doing. Living the dream.
So you guys are not going to do a show Friday going into Saturday East Coast time like you normally do, because that's Christmas going into day after. Because
might cause some family drama,
yeah, the wives would throttle you, so that's not happening. So you guys are on with us tonight. So for everybody who's out there and got to see the title of the show, we are doing our first ever FSA Super Show. We're all getting nogged tonight. I think some of us are halfway there. We're going to do a part 1 and a part 2. So we'll get through the normal FSA Fanatic Real broadcast. We're going to have the Average Bros show in there as well. And then it's somewhere along the line, we're going to cut for just a second while we bring you guys on. And then you guys get to do your normal show, and we'll sit here in the background. What is this? So Josh is why I lost both games this week. Ooh, I think he called you out, not average, Josh.
No, yeah, not me. Everybody knows not to listen to me.
I don't know about that because I think half the teams in the championship games have Traquan Smith. So
yeah, why don't you give your Traquan Smith plug there, average Josh?
Yeah, so so I believe it's an alpha, delta, and redraft. There's 3 teams that do have Traquan Smith. So yes, he may not be a reliable source, but he is, what did I say earlier, Brian? He's a relic
He's a
And,
relic. Yes,
he's
a
a
relic.
relic for your team. If you want to make the playoffs, just draft him and slap him on the bench, and you're good. You're golden.
So you guys, I think you guys already ran your Twitter handles across the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you go out and check out Empty Wagon on all of their in the Twitterverse and all of their handles. And then make sure you check them out on all of the overall social medias for them at Empty Wagon FF. And then, of course, we got the Average Bros. You guys are over there with us here tonight. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your all show? We're going to do it tonight, but talk about it.
We had a little bit of a comeback. I believe we split this week in Top Dog trying to cut. Oh no, I swept. That's right. I'm 2 times better than you.
Wow.
So I swept Josh this week with his average picks. He tried to give a little flick of the forehead and taking a kicker in Willie Lutz. Did not work out so well for him. And I believe I was 2 points off of the top dog. I took Josh Allen, who had 41 points, and Tannehill had 43. So looking forward to see how our season wraps up, see if I can close in on him any further.
Yeah, and full disclaimer, I was 6 points ahead of him going into the week. I was up 16-10, so I did take Tampa Tom and Will Lutz as a little bit of a like Kevin said, a little bit of a flick to the forehead, and it kind of backfired on me, being as I got swept for the week.
Yeah, but you are a man of your word, because you have been saying that if you had a little bit of a lead, that you were going to take a kicker because nobody had done it yet. So you are a man of your word. So that's good. You know, we all appreciate that for sure.
And
Of course.
the arm and leg people need some advice too.
Yeah.
You don't give enough love to kickers, so you had to do it.
Yeah.
We are definitely into the championship of the arm and the leg. We will talk about that here in a little bit. Those guys, we'll wait till we get to that section and we'll talk about that. Before we get there, let's talk about the Fanatically Real Redraft League and what our finals look like there. This is our final 4 from week 15. The semifinals pitted the number 1 seeded, the Ohio River Monsters, against the number 6 Lunatics. Ohio River Monsters got the win with a final score of 179-152. The Ohio River Monsters will be moving on to the World Championship and will represent the Great Lakes region. This is the same region that won the World Championship last year. On the other side of the bracket, number 2 seeded the Chris Betts, which is a rookie with us this year, knocked off the number 4 seeded Naughty Dogs. Final score there was 165-158. The Chris Betts will represent the New England region in the World Championship. And then the 2 teams that were eliminated this round, which are the Naughty Dogs and the Lunatics, they will face off in week 17 in our all-team bowl. This will crown our 3rd and 4th place, and we'll explain a little bit more about the all-team bowl later on in the show, especially for those of you, this is the first year you're a part of this, so you can see what that looks like. So let's talk about our rivalry bowl games. These are the teams that were eliminated in the regional finals for each of their regions. Then they ended up facing off against each other in our rivalry bowl games. In the Southern Sirens Sugar Scrub Bowl, we had the New England region versus the Appalachian region. That was the Maniacs versus the Ship Huggers. The Maniacs ended up getting that win. Final score there, 162-104. So they will be getting a great prize from Southern Sirens Sugar Scrub. In the Cranky Veteran Candle Company, it was the Great Lakes versus the West regions. That was Turd Ferguson and the Callis Cowboys. Final score there, 195-161 in favor of Turd Ferguson. I just needed to say Turd Ferguson one more time. It's a funny name. Mm-hmm. And then in the Shell and Mel's Boutique Bowl, it was the South Atlantic region versus Gulf Coast. That was the Land Sharks versus Nature Coast Colonials. Land Sharks ended up getting that win, 159-132. So the Cranky Veteran Candle Company bowl game winners and Shell and Mel's Boutique, both of those winners, Turd Ferguson, got to say it one more time, and Land Sharks will end up getting a prize from those 2 great sponsors. Yeah. Anybody have anything that they want to say about the finals or where we're at in the finals for the Fanatic Real Bowl for the redraft leagues and how the rivalry bowl games came out. I know Kevin, Average Josh, had a little bit of an opinion last week about who they thought was going to go to the championship in the redraft league.
Yeah, so my two picks in the River Monsters and the Chris Betts are both there from the semifinals anyway. I did take the Hookers before that. That pick was wrong. But looking at these two teams, definitely stack up well against each other. If I was to pick a winner without diving too deep into it, I would have to put my card onto the Chris Betts. Very strong and leading the rookie pack. I believe there was 28 rookies this year, so it's nice to see one of them making the finals. And then as far as the the bowl games goes, just glad to see more competition and giving kudos to all these teams, especially the Ship Huggers out of my region, having had such a great season. So glad to see them coming away with something.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Kevin. Last week, my two picks were the Ohio River Monsters because they were out of my region, the Great Lakes region. And I also had the Chris Betts, obviously, because of Traquan Smith. However, since my average brother has gone with the Chris Betts this week, I think it is only fair that I go against him, like always. I see him shaking his head there. So, of course, I'm going to go with the Ohio River Monsters. I like their lineup more than the Chris Betts, and I rather go with somebody out of my region over somebody who is a rookie this year. And at the end of the day, just to go against my brother.
I would have to say, though, when we get ready to start doing the Rookie of the Year, General Manager Rookie of the Year voting, I'd say the Chris Betts has definitely got to be up there as a consideration.
Number one, yeah.
Maybe somebody else to consider, and I know he's not here with us right now, but Eric had such a great run at the power rankings, just not so great in the playoffs. He's definitely got to be considered in that as well. So he's got to be in part of that conversation, I would think, too.
All right, so. He's a regular season player, okay?
Yeah.
I am too.
That's all we get out of you guys, just regular season.
Playoffs? Talking about
Playoffs. All right, hey, let's get into these dynasty leagues because every single one of us in this group has a hand in some of these dynasties. So let's get into the Alpha dynasties. The finals, they are going to be represented by the number 2 Birmingham Iron and the number 4 Norfolk Neptunes. Those are the two that are going to your championship game. The Iron knocked off the Dayton Triangles in the semifinals with a score of 197 to 171. And then on the other side of the bracket, the game was a little bit closer as the Neptunes were able to defeat the Boston Brawlers 159 to 152. The Iron and Neptunes met earlier this year in week 9, and the Neptunes got the upper hand with a final score of 160 to 137. And then the Brawlers and Triangles will play next week to determine 3rd and 4th place for the season. Am I the only one out of this group that's in Alpha? Kevin, do you have a stake in Alpha? You don't. I'm the only one, right? So Orlando Raid, not a great year. I don't know what
Brad's
to say.
in Alpha.
Brad's in Alpha. That's right. He's the Northern Kentucky River Monsters as we lose him for a little bit. I don't remember. Is he the one that's collecting all of the first round picks next year or all of everybody's draft picks next year?
I know there's a gentleman in my dynasty who's doing that, and he's got, I think, 4 already. I see. I can't do that. A lot of people like, oh, I'm tanking. You know, I hate losing. Hate it. Can't do it
all the way to the end.
I will never tank ever. I don't care dynasty or not, dude. I can't do it. I'm gonna fight. And then if I go down in flames like I did in Bravo, I sure will. There's my guy right there. He's tanking, but he's got a plan. I don't know what the plan is, but he's got a plan.
13 picks in the top 2 rounds. Jesus, are you going to leave any players for anybody else, Damian? My God.
This better be a good draft.
Sean says he's got 3 first rounds in Alpha. So, wow. So, and the good thing about, maybe the good thing that we do over in FSA Dynasty as well is you can't really tank because even if you have the worst record, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the number one pick, because we do it on potential points. So even if you were tanking, that potential points is what's going to rank those guys that are outside the 4 teams that end up making the playoffs. So 5 through 12 are going to be ranked off of that. So it's hard to tank in this one. Yeah, you might not get any W's in the win column, but what does that really matter if you're still not getting the draft pick that you want? A la the Jets doing whatever the heck it was that they did this past week to lose their number one pick for next year. Yeah, whatever that was about. So since Icky and Josh brought up the Bravo League already, let's talk about the Bravo League. So 2 of the worst teams in all of the NFL right now, and I say that quote unquote because we have Jacksonville, even though it's the Jacksonville Sharks here, and the Jets, even though it's the Bridgeport Jets, are going to the finals in the Bravo Dynasty League. The number 4 seeded Jets defeated the number 1 seeded Brooklyn Lions 154 to 124. And the number 3 Sharks defeated our own Josh Hughes, who's sitting out there right now, from the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast, and his Birmingham Barracudas with a final score of 199 to 167. During the week 2 matchup between the Sharks and the Jets, the Sharks dominated that game with a final score of 214 to 179. The Cudas and the Lions will compete in week 16 for 3rd and 4th place. But you made it. You have at least made enough money to pay your entry for next year. So you can't be mad at that at the minimum.
No, I'm still mad. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win, dude. Like if I had been in the other game, I would have beat both of those teams. You know, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But what are you gonna do, dude? I mean, I played a far superior team. I didn't really like how he was kind of bragging, because we have a group chat for all of these, you know. And he was like, "Oh, which team am I gonna play next week?" I'm like, "Whoa, dude, it's not over yet." But he was right. It was over. It hurt a lot. But we'll see what happens. The Cudas are going to come back strong next week. Remember, I started off 1-3, and I went on a 9-game winning streak. Like, it happens. You know what I mean? So you just got to believe in what you got. I like that green screen cup.
Isn't that cool? It's like the coolest thing that happens on this show is whenever we can see Walter's face right through Kevin's chest. Love it.
Okay, next year, 2021, Cudas are coming.
So Kevin, Average, Josh, you guys have stake in Charlie and Delta?
Correct.
Charlie and Delta. All right. So let's talk about the Charlie League, Dynasty League. And the Claymores dominated all year, right? And they're eliminated as number 1 seed by the number 4 seed Buffalo All-Americans with a final score of 169 to 127. So I'm going to bring all of us back up and kind of to talk about something Josh just scratched the surface on a second ago. In the way we're doing the playoffs in these dynasties, 1, 2, and 3 are our division winners. Number 4 is our highest scoring remaining team, not necessarily the 4th best team by way of record. In some of these regions or in some of these leagues this year, that number 4 seeded team, quote unquote, again, was a top scoring team all year. So be thinking out loud here, asking a question for the first time. Did we do a disservice by having the number 1 and the number 4 seed play against each other because of that? And do we ask the dynasty leagues if we want to make an adjustment off of that next year?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, go for it. Because I actually got asked the question in GroupMe actually from one of the leagues, the Omaha Mustangs, which I believe is in the Bravo League. They had asked that question in a direct message with me a week or so ago.
No, for me, I actually like having the highest scoring team in there, because I don't know if you guys, I mean, you guys have all been playing fantasy for quite some time. When you play with other people who don't play as much, it's easy I'm not going to say it's easy, but you know what it's like to be that guy who is the highest scoring guy, but you have the most points against. Yeah. And it's frustrating. So I love that the fact that the 4th seed is that guy. And I was discouraged whenever I realized that I had taken a loss and the guy who was going against me had actually scored more points. I'm like, oh no, but you did it right by looking at who had wins and losses as opposed to just points for. So I think the way that you're doing it currently is the right way to do it. I wouldn't change anything. You let the division winners in, and the 4th seed is the most points scored. if because the number 1 seed is out of those other 3 division winners is the best team, you're doing it right. I think that you have a great system there. And I'm not just saying that because you're my boss. I'm saying it because I believe it. I really do. I really do believe it. So that's just my opinion. I mean,
well, let me play devil's advocate on this. What if we changed who played what in the first round instead of 1, 4, 2, 3? Still allow the 4th place team to be in as a top scoring team. But what if we played 1, 2, 3, 4?
No, because you're having the 2 best teams playing. I mean, if you wanted to try and do that, you're going to try and do like it's almost what you're doing is reminiscent of the college football playoff. You're having the first team, and what you're doing is you're having that matchup in week 1 as opposed to week 2. Basically, what you would be trying to do is try and set up the championship game. But realistically, the way you're doing it is the best way. It's not going to be the most popular way, especially for those other teams. But I think that it's the right way to do it because you're essentially having the number 1 team out of the 3 division winners play against. Yes, thank you, Lewis. Play against the highest scoring team. Let them duke it out because essentially that 4th score that the 4th team by record didn't belong in there.
Yeah, and I think naturally, and I'd have to go back and look. Naturally, that 4th seeded team was really only one true 4th seeded team anyways. I think the other 3 that ended up going as the 4th seed would not have gone in if we had done it by record. So we only had that happen in one spot. And the other reason I bring that up, and I'll talk about it once we hit to the Delta here in just a second, but we got to get through Charlie first. So let's finish up the Charlie. So we already said the Claymores went down to the Buffalo All-Americans. On the other side of the bracket, the number 3 Central Valley Coyotes defeated the number 2 Florida Tuskers with a final score of 194 to 147. This means that the final pairing for the Charlie Dynasty Championship will be between the Buffalo All-Americans, Central Valley Coyotes. When these 2 teams faced off in the regular season, Coyotes got the win. That was in week 6, 164 to 127. And you know what? This is what I love to see right here. The whole family's here together. Eric, how are you?
What's up, guys?
How are you? I didn't even put the Cowboys jersey on.
I did. I saw you guys in New Jersey, and so I was like, I'll rep the team tonight, even though I hate them. But I'll rep them.
Keep it sleazy, my boy.
You know what? This is not what I had planned to wear tonight. I actually had a T-shirt that says Christmas cost me an arm and a leg with a gingerbread that had an arm and a leg pulled off of it. Nice. But yeah, the guys convinced me since the Jets got their first win to put this on. This doesn't really feel like a win having this on. It's almost like
their first win to their detriment, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So how's it feel for the Cowboys to win as good as they did this week?
Keep losing. We need good draft picks too. I don't know what they're doing. They're crazy.
No, you're paying Zeke $90 million. Come on.
Zeke's fine.
The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl.
They still have a chance, right?
In 10 years.
So you're saying there's a chance?
We still them boys.
So for my guys that were in the Charlie, and I think Kevin, you're at least in there, and I think you and Josh are in there as well too. You guys are co-owning the Delta League, correct? The Delta team. Okay. So how did you guys feel about the Charlie League this year?
I thought that it went as planned as far as seeing the Buffalo Americans. I know I was rooting for the Claymores only because they've done so well all year and dominated everybody. But having played the Buffalo Americans twice and being a part of a few trades with them and watching that evolve, obviously, because of having to play him twice, watching it more closely, not really surprised at the upset. I'm surprised that it was that big of a deficit. I believe you said almost 40 points. So I do put my hat in that ring as far as wanting them to win the championship here, but kudos to both of them.
Jonathan has a really good point. He was the number 1 seed in both the Alpha and the Delta, which we're getting to talk about the Delta here in a second. And he lost to the 4th seed in both of them, and he still has no problem with the way we're seeding it. It's coming right from the man, so I say we go with it. I mean, it's just, like I said, playing devil's advocate and seeing what it might look like for 2021 as possible changes in rule set. So if everybody likes it, we roll with it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this Delta Final Four here. And this is where I bring up the point where not a single number 1 seeded team is moving on to the championship round because every single one of them are beat by the number 4 seeded team, right? And this one, the San Antonio Wings ended up defeating the Corpus Christi Hammerheads. Final score there was 184-130. On the other side, we have the number 3 Apollos advancing after they beat the number 2 seeded Steel Valley Smash. Final score there 163-134. In a very low-scoring affair earlier this year, the Wings and the Apollos faced off against each other in Week 10. Apollos winning that game 108-94. Hammerheads and Smash will play in Week 16 for 3rd and 4th place. So I know I'm in this one. Kevin and Josh, you guys share a team in this one. I think the only thing that I had going for me this year was my head-to-head matchups against my state rivalry, the New York, New Jersey Knights. We split 1-1. I think I had some injuries that really hurt me in the league, in this league this year, startup league. But how do you guys feel you did in the Delta side?
As far as my team personally, I feel like just beating you that last game of the season is a championship enough.
That's hard.
Being able to stay in the state, or I should say stadium rather, and not having to relocate. But as far as the playoff goes, I had said that I thought the Apollos were going to win. They had beat handedly the Knights twice to lock the division and keep me out of the playoffs. So seeing them move forward is definitely not a surprise, and are my pick to win the championship there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a comment here by Damien saying, props to Ted Howard, who has 2 dynasty teams in a championship game in both Bravo and Delta. Absolutely good year for him. He had a good showing in the redraft league this year as well. So just all around great year for him. It says Baby Brad is stealing the show right now.
Yeah.
I love it. If my girls were actually awake right now, they might actually be in here, but both of them passed out early tonight. They played hard outside today, apparently. So, yeah.
That's my boy.
All right, so let's get to this final league where we are in our playoffs for it, and that is our QB54 Arm and Leg League. And what a final we did have on the AFC side of this bracket, as Randy McCarty and Jonathan Broughton were tied at the end of regulation 18-18. And when I looked over the box scores, not knowing that we had a tie over there and not knowing who they chose as their tiebreaker, I noticed looking at their tiebreakers that 2 of their players, one from each side, had 0 points. So I'm like, oh, man, what happens if we had an 18-18 and a 0-0 tie for their tiebreakers? So I quickly went in and checked their lineup setups, come to find out. Fortunately for Jonathan, he started Minnesota kicker Dan Bailey, who got him 9 points. And unfortunately for Randy, he started Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, who got him 0 points as the tiebreakers. So Jonathan will be moving on to the QB54 Arm and Leg League Championship, and he will be facing Anthony Monhay. Monhay knocked off Bob Reddick with a final score of 30-14 on the NFC side. The 2 championship teams, it's going to be Jonathan Broughton and Anthony Monhay. The 2 of them actually share 1 player out of the 4 that are on their roster, and that is Harrison Butker, the kicker from Kansas City, on both of them. This has been a lot of fun. Crazy. I know whenever we first started this, and I know the Empty Wagon guys were mentioning on their show, saying, hey, we even have, Arm and Leg League with just kickers and quarterbacks, but it has been a fun league. It's been a cheap league, for one. That helps out a lot. That's always fun to do something whenever it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to play in it. But I have loved this playoff system, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about maybe adopting it somewhere else in FSA next year. Tell me what you think about that.
I personally like it. I think it incentivizes your first seed more, opposed to something, say, if you look at the redraft or the dynasty leagues where the first seed still has to play, but you just get the lowest seed to play and is essentially matchup wise based on regular season, your bonus. In this, it incentivizes them even more because they could potentially get 2 buys and still have the better matchup. So I think it helps out there as well, and it kind of prolongs it a little bit, right? Because you're having multiple rounds, multiple rungs. It's not necessarily you're one and done, but it's also not playing the same team back to back to get that 2-week projection, like I've seen done in other leagues that have something kind of similar. So I'm a personal fan, and would like to see more of it.
Do you think, me playing devil's advocate again, do you think the possibility of 2 buys is too much?
I don't think so, only because if you win, the second bye puts you into single elimination in the semifinals anyway, and the teams below you have to win twice. So even if you win once and get a bye, the team that just won's got to lose again anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
What does everybody else think? Just playing devil's advocate, thinking about maybe a new rule set for FSA across the board whenever we can use it based on how many teams we pull in per region. You guys like it? Is it something we should do? If you don't really know the whole thing, for those that are out there watching or listening right now, go look up Euro style or Australian style playoffs. They use this often in those leagues. That way you know what we're talking about. But what do you got? And they do it sometimes with 8 teams even. We did it with an odd number of teams this year, but even with 8, they do the same type of thing where it's single elimination for those teams that are at the bottom. And then when you're doing this in live sports, it also depends on who gets home field advantage throughout this based on that as well. So just random thoughts. What do you guys think?
I actually think that FSA and the way that it's already constructed is going to work much better next year. Not that it wasn't already functioning very well this year in the redraft, but next year when they go to the 17-game schedule and you add that extra week in there, you're going to be able to push everything back 1 week. And so hopefully the NFL will quit screwing us with bye weeks, which is really what they're doing. Yeah, the NFC South had a late bye this week, which made no sense. And whenever they do that,
teams, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Tampa
the Bucs.
and Carolina.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll quit screwing us, and then we'll be good to go. But I personally like the way that FSA already does it. But I mean, I'm always open to learning and to growing and other suggestions. To me, nothing is set in stone. We can always grow.
I think with me looking forward and what I broke down already for the next year would all depend on how many teams we have in each one of the regions based on however many we get in, right? So if we end up with 8 12s and we end up with 96 teams, that runs a league a certain way. But if we end up with 10 10s and we get 100, that runs that playoffs slightly different than what the regular season looks like as well. I think the only way we could adopt something like this is if we ended up with 10 10s. Not pushing for that. 96 I know would be more ideal. But if we got 10 10s and we max out what MFL allows us to do as well on the website. So no harm in that of trying to push the envelope with that. But just want to see what you guys thought about that.
You could keep redraft as is and trial this something and say an auction league. Foreshadowing.
Foreshadow. Would that auction league possibly have individual defensive players with it?
Not
as everybody across the bottom of the screen vomits.
I got a hairball.
I am definitely not against IDPs. We've done it once in FSA years ago. Like, we've been doing this for so long, I couldn't even tell you what season it was in. And then I do it in Matt Kroll's league, his Meathead league over on NFL.com. Depending on how you play that, it works out really well. It's just, there is a niche for it for sure. There is a niche for certain players for it. I have no problem with it.
Is it IDP with kickers and defenses?
No.
It's just IDP, but no kicker, no defense.
It was probably the least successful season of FSA, and it's a pretty successful business. But that was probably.
You know what? I'll have to dig really far back through all of these folders that I've got here to find out. Now, the foreshadowing, as Kevin said, would be 0 kickers, 0 team defense. When I play it in the Meathead League with Matt Kroll and his guys, it is kickers, full team of defense, and 4 individual defensive players. So you get to do
IDP.
Yeah, you get 1 lineman, 1 linebacker, 1 DB, and 1 flex. That could be any of those 3. So it is rough over there. You put that in together with 11 starting spots total and only 3 bench players. It makes for a very tough league. Very, very tough. Jenna says she's heading out for the night. Jenna, happy holidays. Have a Merry Christmas. I'll hit you up again probably tomorrow and see how you're doing. All right. So I've got a few more things, FSA, that I want to talk about. We got the all-team bowl to still talk about total points for the year. We got some King of the Castle stuff. The NFL playoff challenge that we're going to offer again this year for a free membership for next year, all of our primetime games. But I don't want to get too much into that because I want to make sure average bros get their normal routine in for the show as well. That way we can get over to the empty wagon guys. So average bro guys, take it away.
Well, as you mentioned, just want to make sure everybody knows that it has either just joined us or missed the title of the show. This is our super show. So we do have all 6 of the guys here from all the shows under the FSA umbrella. And as Jenna mentioned earlier, we did start at 8 and are running 2 hours, part 1 and 2. So we will have everything in here all wrapped up nice in a bow from for your FSA under your tree here, hypothetically speaking. But Josh, my average brother, the only thing that I want to point out, big losers this week, the entire Patriots organization, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2008, not winning the division, and also the first time under the Belichick era of not having a winning record. I think the best they could do is 50-50, which leads to my big winner of the week is Josh Allen. Congratulations to him, having a phenomenal season, definitely in the MVP race. And like I said earlier in the show, he was my top dog from this previous week, and he was 2 points shy of doing so.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you with Josh Allen being a winner because that takes me into like my one of my big winners is the Bills organization as a whole, securing the division this week. And just to show how long it's been for them, the last time the Bills won the AFC East, 1, Josh Allen wasn't even born. 2, Belichick was still coaching the Browns. 3, the Texans didn't even exist. And 4, go ahead, Eric.
Are you like Jim? Is this Jim Kelly era we talking about here?
1995 was the last.
Oh wow,
baby!
Yeah.
And 4, this one's for Eric here. The Cowboys were actually good.
They were,
and
in my younger years, they were actually pretty good.
Well, let's see. 1995 was that Super Bowl 30?
That was their third. They won 92, 93. They lost to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game in 94, and then they won again in 95.
95, and they beat the Steelers in Super Bowl XXX.
Yeah, this is all per Instagram, okay? So Instagram, shows no mercy.
You're on it. So, yeah, it's very good to see since 1995 for those guys.
So as far as the AFC East goes, Josh Allen is only the 3rd quarterback in the Belichick era to win that division. Tom Brady, Josh Allen, and who would be the 3rd is my question.
Oh, I know.
It was the year Brady was hurt.
Sanchez?
Was it Chad Pennington?
No. Yes. Yeah. Chad Pennington won it first.
He was the Jets QB at the time. Okay.
He won it first with the Jets, then was traded and won it again with the Dolphins.
Miami. Yeah, that's true. So we talked about it before the show, and Brad asked the question of Kevin. Kevin, how does it feel to see your Patriots not going to the playoffs, probably since you were a young guy, for the first time in your memory, probably?
Yeah, so I had said this to somebody when the whole Brady situation happened and he left, and I said it like this: I'm glad that it happened now. I would rather move on from him now versus be somebody that's trying to hold on to him too long and watch his contract go up. This year was especially tough because of the cap situation. They were pretty hard against the cap. Next year they go into it with almost $100 million in open cap. I think they are the 3rd highest team. So if they can get Cam more weapons or quarterback question mark more weapons, whatever happens there. It was no harm, no foul because you paid him almost nothing. You get a new look to see if you can have a mobile quarterback within that scheme anyway, because you haven't had it in 20 years. So I think this was a no harm, no foul year. I think that obviously the Bills might run it for a little while, but I think next year they're going to come back even more competitive, knowing that they can spend a lot more money and go out and get a few key free agents. So I'm not too worried having one off year.
One off year. You say as if it's only going to be one off year. Yeah.
I mean, you
got to be
they
optimistic.
can have a mobile quarterback. It'd have been nice if they had a quarterback. Cam couldn't throw the ball all year to save his life.
He looks terrible. I finally got to watch a little bit of the game this past week. I hadn't really watched the New England game yet. He did look really bad. Like it's almost like the mechanics weren't there. Like I don't know what's going on with him. So
I think after that shoulder injury, it kind of ruined everything, and it ruined that throwing motion, and he could never really find it again.
I feel like it's turned more into a baseball throwing motion versus a football throwing motion, which is forcing all of the balls to go low. If he's trying to throw it beyond, if he's trying to rifle it, it is going low. It is hitting knees and below to his receivers right now. It just looked really bad.
He's like pushing the ball instead of just throwing it and letting it go. So
it really is.
I mean, and it's extra surprising when you see how streaky he is, right? Because you see a 45-0 game, something like that against the Chargers. You blank a team that's supposed to be your rookie of the year there, and then you come out the next week and do the same in reverse and only put up a field goal. So it's surprising to see how on again, off again they have been offensively.
You know what? We've been making fun of a lot of people here. We have not made fun of the Saints yet tonight. And average Josh and what he's wearing.
No, I suffered enough last week.
Yeah, speaking of QBs that looked old real quick.
Yeah,
he came back looking good. It's just the defense just wasn't there, and I'm used to that.
Good on the sidelines, maybe. Those ribs are still hurt.
Yeah, those ribs are going to have a real tough time in the cold in Green Bay too.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys mentioned it on your show this week too, as well, about that. Yeah, definitely. All right, so what else do you guys got for your winners and losers and top dogs for the week?
You want to go into top dogs now, or you want to save that piece?
You know what? Well, I think we should just go into it now. We'll put my top, the future top dogs out there.
Traquan Smith.
So I'll kick it off then with my quarterback. I'm looking at somebody that has stood the test of time, does not have 8 or 11 broken ribs, and is still shining bright even at 43. Tampa Tom in a very favorable matchup against the Lions this week, trying to stamp their mark and win the division as Breeze comes back and looks rusty. I think that he's going to come out slinging it. Antonio Brown coming into his own as he starts to get that playbook down, had 19 points within FSA this week. So Tampa Tom, it is for me.
I'll only agree with that pick as long as Tom Brady doesn't head over to the sideline and do that, grabs his hands together and leans over on the bench. Yeah. They said right when he does that, you're going to lose.
You're done for the day.
Yeah. That, and for some reason, Atlanta is just, prime for just blowing every lead they ever had. But I'm going away from, the old dog. I'm going with the younger guy. I'm going with Jalen Hurts this week. Somewhat of a favorable matchup going against Dallas. Sorry, Eric.
Somewhat favorable? Very favorable. Fire him up.
So I was
defense
looking,
is a dumpster fire.
Well, they somewhat look like a great defense this week, but that's just because San Fran couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, don't be fooled.
I was looking on ESPN. They are, according to ESPN, a top 10 passing defense, but they are the worst rushing defense. And
positive game script will do that to you.
Yeah, as we know from last week when the Eagles played a top 5 rushing defense with the Saints and put up over 100 rushing yards. You know, it's only a matter of time before he does the same thing against Dallas. So I'm going with Jalen Hurts this week.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, and I haven't looked at him too much. You know, I haven't looked into the quarterback situation, I should say, in Philly overall. I've watched him play. Being kind of local to the Philadelphia area, it's kind of all around. But I did listen to his press conference afterwards, and he says that I don't care if I'm a rookie. I don't care if I'm not the starter and I'm coming in off the bench. I want to win, and we did not do enough to win. There's mistakes that I made that I could have capitalized on, and to hear that from a young player, to hear that from somebody that's coming off the bench and isn't the opposite of, hey, it's my time to shine type guy, and I'm taking over, and he's that hard on himself in a loss in a close game, to me says volumes to who he is as a player and to his football IQ and to his motivation. It's not all flash and glitz and glam like a lot of these younger guys are. So I think that is a good pick. I don't think it will be the top dog, but overall a good pick.
You can't forget Jalen Hurts. He was benched in the national championship game at Alabama.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he came in the next year in the national championship game because Tua got hurt.
Yeah.
So he's been benched for a guy who was taking his job and then took over a job. So I think he's had humbling experiences through college, unlike most star quarterbacks.
I think it definitely shows his leadership qualities as well by saying something like that, right? So definitely there.
I will say, though, compared to like this past week, Jalen Hurts, I don't know if you knew how many points he had this week, Kevin, but he had 39.82. So he was third out of all quarterbacks. So he was just about there, and going up against a defense who, isn't known for their defense, it isn't out of the question that he could be top dog this week.
Jalen Hurts was somebody's hero or villain this past week, if I remember right. Was it you?
He was my hero.
He was your hero? Okay, so look at that. Yeah, there you go.
I've never taken a rushing quarterback as a villain because their floor is way too high.
Yeah. True
Fantasy. But Damian brings up a good point. Aaron Rodgers this week against the Titans. It's a pretty good matchup, man. I can't pick him on heroes and villains because he ain't out there to go pick up, and it's kind of a weak sauce pick. But if I was going top dog, he would be a guy I'd be looking to be a top dog.
Well, you guys already picked your quarterback, so you lost out.
Who do you got at your flex position there?
Are you taking a kicker again this week?
No, I am. I need to make sure that I win at the end of the season. I don't know what we're playing for at this point. That is yet to be discovered, but I'm going with Nick Chubb this week.
Ooh, interesting.
To be fair, I don't even remember who they're playing the Jets. Okay, so that alone, you can't go wrong.
I mean,
I'm stomping over everybody's toes today with going after Eric's Cowboys. I know he's not too upset about that, and neither is Brian about the Jets.
I would love to give you a middle finger right now, but people that are watching this would see it, and that's not good for TV. So,
we'll save it for after the show.
There you go.
Not only do I not think that is a good pick, I think that you're overshadowing or not picking the correct player within the same backfield. My top dog for the week is the receiving back out of that same team, Kareem Hunt.
Wow.
Who will do both against the Jets. I think that as they showed in the Ravens 9 touchdown game, where Kareem Hunt came in towards the end and helped them air it out a bit, I think that will lean in his favor, as he has done most of the season, and will outscore not only Chubb, but everyone else in the league.
Do
you think they're going to have to air it out against the Jets?
I think they will because they can.
Do you need to?
Do you think they have to? So they're going to need to. You don't think Nick Chubb could rush for 150 yards and just?
I mean, the Jets just won, so I mean, we don't want nothing.
Hey,
one of the only
Adam Gase saved his job.
One of the only bright spots on the Jets roster right now is their secondary. So, I mean, granted, I realize it's going to be dump off passes. We're not expecting them to go out and take any long balls or anything like that, right? But still, if you're going to take away anything from the Jets, that is a bright spot. It is their secondary right now because they have nothing else. There is no other part of that team and all three facets of football that is good.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at picking a running back and saying they're going to catch well out of the backfield, I'm not looking for anything more than 10 yards down the field. So I'm not really touching the corners. I think that will be more so hey, let's just pull every trick out the bag because we can and run the score up because we can type of deal. Not necessarily in a game where they have to throw. But remember, they are still playing for something. They can still win the division. If the Steelers drop another one. So,
yep, true statement. Damien says here, top dog, same game, different side of the ball. Derrick Henry could have a field day against the Packers. After just mentioned about Aaron Rodgers having a great game against the Titans defense, he has a point there as well. I'm going to be really watching the Browns game this weekend then to see how that plays out for the two of you guys for your second picks of your top dogs. I do like it. I do love that little bit of internal game rivalry there as well for this. What else do you got, Average Bros?
Kevin?
That is a bit about it for me on this.
NFL news. Josh, did you have anything queued up? You guys want to kind of off the hip of this stuff? Kevin Green, big news. Not so much now, but very sad news. I know that despite the age difference of the crew that is on the screen right now, that is a huge hit. That's felt. Big time. What else do we have out there aside from that sad news? Yeah,
I am out in the blue today because my average brother over here that one didn't really get to me in time about what was going on with the show. Yeah, this way, that way. Well, there's no one that way. But
what about these guys right here? What do you guys know?
I
don't know why.
The Jags announced that they are probably going to rest James Robinson this week.
I did see that.
So he's been running back 5 over the last 8 weeks. So if you have him, he probably got you to a title game, quite possibly. So it kind of, if you're playing a title game this week, that's an awful blow. If you have
the Jags trying to tank, they have the
absolutely
now.
100%.
We're
resting now.
We're resting. We don't want to.
They have to now.
I'm amazed they're not like Chargers going to sit and he's going to sit and any of their studs on defense. Like I'd sit all those guys. Like why? What are you playing for?
Mid-season too. Like he was healthy to come back. He was begging to come back in the game. They're like, oh no, Mike Glennon's doing great.
Yeah. Sit Gardner. Like he had a setback with his. What was his problem again?
It was something, but it was ridiculous. You could read through the lines. There's nothing wrong. Dude, yeah. So let's see. CMC still probably sitting again this week. Michael Thomas went on the IR, so we lose him for the rest of the year.
How does that look, you think, for next season? And this is what, the third injury just this year?
To Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
I don't think next year.
Yeah, he had the injury at the beginning of the season, came back, punched a teammate, and then got a hamstring injury, and then got put on the IR again. It's his curse for break. He breaks a record and then breaks his body.
I think it was just him trying to come back. He had the hamstring and the ankle, and he just was trying to come back. And now I think he could have played through it if they needed him to? Yes. But I don't think they need him to. You rest him 3 weeks. You do the IR because now with the new IR rules, it's like baseball. You put him on the DL. That way you can pull another player up. It's all about roster management. Had they have been needing to play him or want him to be out there for a few plays, they would have left him in there. Kind of like what the Chargers did with Keenan Allen, who's banged up pretty well.
Yeah.
But they're trying to win some games that seem somewhat respectable.
So taking a look at his productivity over this season and what he did last year and throw in the injuries on top of it, going into next year's drafts or even dynasty trades to get some picks, would you rather have DK Metcalf, who is on the rise, or Michael Thomas?
If Drew Brees is there, still Michael Thomas.
I would say
Drew Brees will not be there.
Drew Brees already said that this is his last year.
Yeah.
He's got pen to paper for Sunday Night Football.
So the guy
next year, 25, 26 million.
Yeah, the empty wagon guys mentioned it on their show the other night. It all depends on how this season ends, whether Drew Brees comes back next year or not. I think
if it's another heartbreaking loss like the Stephon Diggs one, it's going to be hard for him to hang it up with that. Like if he has another heartbreaking playoff loss, I don't know how they'll do it. So if he's gone and it's Taysom Hill or Jameis, if it's Jameis, I'm not upset with that.
That's still good. That's a good 1-2 combo right there. He's still
who's going to be back there. And
as long as he can actually throw to his receivers and not the defense,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
the defense. The defense, it gets him down. He throws more. It's a perfect storm.
Yeah, fantasy wise, that's true. It really
definitely works out that way.
But the fans of the team, yes. If Sean Payton's still the coach, I still like Michael Thomas. If Sean Payton leaves, that's more of I think what it is. Who's scheming up the plays? It's like Kyle Shanahan with all the running backs in San Francisco. We haven't heard any of these running backs over the past 2 seasons, and now we're like, you got to have Raheem Mostert, you got to have Jeff Wilson Jr., you got to have who? You know what I'm saying? If we would have said these names 2 years ago, we would have been like, are you high?
Yeah.
So
Damon was one to mention in our chat group earlier this week, and I think it was the difference in production between Thomas last year and Thomas this year, and I think it was 149 to 40, so 109 reception difference. For a good receiver, that is a good year for a receiver. That just the difference that he's had this year, right? So, but I still like him. I think I've got him in Delta Dynasty. I made a bunch of early picks to make sure that I ended up getting him. Kevin probably knows because I took all of his first 3 picks from him. So I still have him, and I would still keep him, regardless of what the situation looks like for the Saints next year. Because right now, I don't know if I'd get much for him other than name value. I know it's something Eric likes to talk about quite a bit is name value, but we're in a small group of 12 guys. You know, if we were in a bigger league than that, maybe name value goes a little bit further, but we don't have uneducated players under the FSA umbrella. They all know, right? So I'm not going to get much for a Michael Thomas right now, I don't think.
And you guys could all still see Michael Thomas being a top 3 wide receiver if he stays healthy all year. If he'd been healthy this year, even, he would have got the numbers. His reception numbers have been there.
Yeah, I don't see him dropping far, but I'm saying if you're looking at somebody that was very hot and played all season long in a DK Metcalf or even a Lockett next to him, just minus the stiff arms, I think that if you compare him to a Michael Thomas, if you look at somebody that's a tinker with their team, they may look to go with a hot name versus think, okay, you know, it was just one off season plagued with injury versus a trend.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want to take too much time away from the empty wagon guys, but there's 2 more things we need to talk about real quick, right? So I promised the guys that are playing in the all-team bowl in week 17, granted we know that it's a week away from now, that I would put out that rule set for them during tonight's show. Whether they're watching it live, they're going to come back and watch it later. And that's going to be Sean and Anthony, Naughty Dogs and the Lunatics general managers are playing in that all-team bowl for our 3rd and 4th place. So it's an idea that we crafted. This would end up being our 5th season of doing this game. It's kind of like our version of the Pro Bowl. We play it after the Super Bowl, just like it used to be in the old Pro Bowl games. And we used to have in the rule set where you could not draft players that were actually playing on the Fanatically Real Super Bowl rosters, but we've done away with that. I probably shouldn't even have mentioned that. So here's what this looks like, right? So these 2 general managers are going to draft an entire new team to go into the all-team bowl. It is a total of 32 roster spots across both teams, 16 roster spots. Why is the magic number 32 so important? Because there's 32 teams in the NFL. This is why we call it the all-team bowl. There will be a player from every single one of the NFL teams on one of these 2 teams' rosters whenever this draft is done. All right. We will allow the 3rd place team, and I have to go back to see who is even 3rd right now. I think that ends up being the Naughty Dogs because he was the highest seed coming out of that. Will elect to whether he wants to draft first or if he wants to defer, which means either he'll get the 1st and the 4th pick or he'll get the 2nd and the 3rd pick, and he'll be right there at the churn in this very short snake draft that goes back and forth between 2 teams. Here's where the fun part comes into it. Once you draft a player from a particular team, no other players from that team can be drafted. So let's use a very far extreme example. Let's use 2 of them. Let's say somebody decides to take Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, stay with the number 1 pick. Then Patrick Mahomes can't be taken. Travis Kelce can't be taken. Bell, Hill, CEH, none of those guys can be drafted after that, right? And let's use, because average Josh is here, let's say somebody decides to take Will Lutz. There's no Drew Brees, no Emmanuel Sanders, no Alvin Kamara, no Latavius Murray. Who else am I missing? Michael Thomas, he was been playing. Traquan Smith, since we want to bring him up. So all those guys are eliminated, right? We go back and forth with this all the way until both rosters are filled, 16 players each. Then we move into what's called depth chart football. It is a little bit more restricted roster than what we use during the FSA season, where you will have this many quarterbacks, this many running backs, this many wide receivers. In fact, across the entire roster, I think there's only 2 flex positions. I have to go back and look at that. But what you'll do is after you draft, you will let me know what your starting lineup looks like from depth chart football. So many players will get you 100% of the points that they score. So many players will get you 50%, and so many players will get you 25%. And we actually have multiple defenses across this and multiple kickers across this as well. So it has happened every year that we've done this. Somebody has put somebody in their third string that has just gone off and scored like what would have been 28 points if they had been in the 100%. But instead, they've got them in the 25% and only score them 7 points. What we'd like to do at the end of this is show, here's what your final score would have been if it was 100% across your entire roster. Here's what it was based on the way that you set it. And then that has caused the win-loss across these. Now, what are we using this for? This is determine our third and fourth place team. So there is a payout difference in money this year between third and fourth. So whoever wins this game gets third. They will get the bigger payout than fourth. I say all of that to say this. We are adding a new wrinkle into it that we wanted to bring on last year, but were unable to. This game is sponsored by Deep South Creations and is one of our bowl sponsors that we have out there. Brandon Prince, that is the owner and CEO of that corporation, made these amazing dice for us last year that we were unable to use during the draft last year. This is going to get added to the draft this year. This is how this is going to work out. During the first 8 rounds of the draft, we will be rolling 2 of these dice. Whatever positions show up on these dice are the position that that person who was drafted that moment can choose from. So let's say we roll a tight end and a running back. They have the ability to draft a tight end or a running back at that moment. But let's say we roll 2 tight ends. They will be forced to draft a tight end at that moment. And we will do that for the first 8 rounds. Once we reach round 9, we will add in a third dice. Kind of the same theory behind all of that. We will roll all 3 of them. If all 3 of them are different, they can draft any of those positions. If there is 2 of the same and 1 different, they can draft any of those positions, but they have to fill a roster spot of the dice that has the duplicate that's on it. So let's say we roll a tight end, 2 tight ends, and a running back, and they still have the tight end roster spot open, which is a hard coded spot. They must go after a tight end first if that spot is open. If not, then they can go to a running back. All right. If for some crazy reason all 3 dice come up with the exact same position, they are allowed to steal a player from the other team. And then that player immediately has to replace that player with the same position that just got taken from them. Does not have to be the position that is on the dice. Just because you roll 3 tight ends does not mean you take their tight end. You get to take any player you want from their team. The good part about this is because nobody has 2 players from the same team. If I was to take an LA Chargers player, then I don't have to worry about it being duplicated anywhere else because now they're on my team and I wouldn't have a LA Chargers on my team anyways. So we will be doing this live on New Year's Day at noon East Coast time. So that's going to be noon for us here in the East Coast. That's where Sean is located. That's going to be 6 p.m. over in Europe, which that's where Anthony Monhay is at. And they're going to get live here in the studio, and we're going to do the draft just like that. So Sean and Anthony, if you're out there listening to this now or later, if you have any questions, you have an extra week to ask us, pick our brains about all of that stuff. And yes, because it is week 17, do a little bit of research to find out which players are being rested from possible playoff teams, because every year somebody ends up with a 0 because they took a player not knowing that they were going to get rested. So A lot goes into this one. It's not just a matter of taking the players that you took. Well, I know you guys like to say all the time, you dance with the girl you took to the ball. Not in this case. Whole brand new draft and everything. Sean says, and Sean's out there. Great, Sean. I'm glad you're here tonight. He says he's still watching. So the extra piece that's not in the rule set that you see out there was the ability for us to use these dice because we were unable to use them last year. So now that you know that, please pick my brain. I know Anthony's asleep right now, so he'll pick my brain sometime tomorrow whenever he's awake. So if you have any questions about that, hit me up. 2 more quick things. Don't forget you are playing for $75 for the total points for the season. Whoever comes out of here for the most points of the season in the Fanatically Real Redraft League. Even though you don't have an opponent, keep studying your starting lineup every single week. We have 2 weeks left, week 16 and week 17. Eric's over there shaking his head right now. Why is Eric shaking his head? Because he is the points leader right now. And all of that with 2,501.68 points. What I ended up doing, Eric, was I took that and I divided that by 15 games to show what your average scoring was, right? And then I subtracted that from your point total. And then I plus and minus that about 10% to find out how many people might still have a chance to catch you in these last 2 weeks, right?
Okay.
If they're able to overcome. So guys that still have a chance, Maniacs, Average Joes, Turd Ferguson, funny name, we're going to bring it up again, Killers, the Ohio River Monsters, the Infernos, and the Lunatics all still have a chance to possibly catch you. That's probably going to get a little bit more clear after week 16.
Sure.
For those of you that are still out there that probably still have a chance, doesn't mean that not more teams have a chance. Those are just the ones that have the realistic chance of probably catching you. But you are playing for $75. Keep setting your lineups. Yep, money's money.
Yeah, I'll take that entry fee for sure.
Yeah, take it and add the $25 and play in something else, maybe arm and leg league next year with that extra 25.
Dynasty Echo.
Oh fuck, man. Oh god.
Right? I thought we were gonna have all the Australian guys, right?
Yeah. Put the R stamp on this one. Gosh. All right, so hey, new king of the castle, the Bill the Third ended up winning this week and knocking off Jared Ryan, who was up there for 2 weeks in a row. We have the possibility of having a queen of the castle at the end of this week, as Queen of Hearts is up there playing this week, as she is the Grand Duchess and playing against him this week. So possibility of seeing our first queen. And then I will remind everybody again, next week, we will be doing the NFL playoff challenge like we have the last couple of years. We go over to NFL.com and do their playoff challenge. Everybody from FSA and outside of FSA is invited. It is free to get into, cost you nothing. You don't have to be a member of FSA to get into it. But what you are playing for is if you end up being the total points person in that one at the end of the Super Bowl, you will get a free entry into FSA next year into the redraft league. So 2 years ago, it was Brian Lewis that got into it because I actually won it, and I thought it wasn't fair that the commish gets to play for free. So I gave it to the guy that finished in second place. I don't play for free. I put money in every year. I spent a lot of money playing fantasy football this year. But I did win by a point, gave it to Brian Lewis, and last year, Todd Spencer, the Music City Miracles out of the Great Lakes region, ended up winning it. He played for free this year. So make sure you get in that. We'll start putting out the invites for that soon. Primetime games this week. We won't go over picks because I want to get over to the empty wagon guys. Primetime games. We got a Christmas game. So for those of you that like Christmas football, whatever that is all about, we've got Minnesota at the Saints. Josh got his stuff on. Saints favored by 7. We have Sunday night football after Saturday games. Don't forget we have those this week. Sunday night football, we got Tennessee at Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 3. And then Monday night football, we got Buffalo at New England. Buffalo's going to win the game. They are favored by 7. I'm putting it into the universe right now. Sorry for you, Kevin. And that is all I've got from the first hour of the Noggin show.
Hey, is King of the Castle going through week 17?
We will go all the way through week 17.
I got a shot.
You got a shot. You got 2 more weeks. You got a shot. So here's what I'm thinking. Let me just put it out there in the universe right now. I don't think King of the Castle is refined enough for us to be able to launch it next year. I really don't think it is. I think we need a whole year. We need to see what bye weeks are going to go do to it. We're going to see what injuries through the season are going to do to it. And a couple of the ideas that we've had with rule sets since we've been changing the rules as we go through. We got to go in with a lock cock rule set, even maybe 2 rule sets. The thought process between this group right here is maybe we run 2 simultaneous. One starts off with one particular rule set, one starts off with another particular rule set. So when we tweak, we don't have to tweak as much. It's not as drastic. And we'll see which one fans out. Kevin has made a very good point. We draw a line in the sand at a certain week, and we say, okay, this is the rule set we're going to go with the rest of the year and see what that looks like, right? So we just got to get the 16 players that want to do it and possibly do both sides of it. I know we've got a couple guys like Chris Simpson that really wanted to play this year, was unable to get in on it, to do that next year to test it. We test it through 2021. We bring it out in 2022, I think is what we're really going to do, which will probably allow us to focus on an echo, even though I hate to even say it out loud, it makes me want to vomit. And then maybe foreshadowing a auction / IDP league maybe for next year, maybe.
Only way we do auction if Kevin is the auctioneer up front and he has to talk fast and spit out auction.
Only way we do that. I don't. It's funny that we talked about this on the phone the other day, right? So you guys remember when you guys first came on board with me, we had Stomp Therapy as a sponsor, right? And that was Dr. Gerald Nicklin, which was a guy that I worked with when I was still the equal opportunity guy for the brigade. He was our very, very first sponsor. Certified auctioneer. Actually does that on the weekend, selling paintings and all kinds of other things, auctioneer stuff. The unfortunate part is I haven't talked to Mr. Jerry in quite a while, and that makes me sad. But how great would it be if we could get him to actually do a live auction draft for us like that?
God,
that would be awesome.
Sean asked, how long do we have per our pick? Sean, there will be no time limit on this because there is no draft system out there that will allow you to do what we do with this all-team league. It won't take you long. The best advice I could give to you when we were beta testing this 6 years ago, have a printed roster or a digital roster close to you so you have depth chart for every single one of the teams and a way of making sure you know which teams have been picked. Now, I will do a very good job of letting you all know that. Now that we can do the shared screen thing here quite a bit through StreamYard, I'll probably have both of the screens up for you guys' teams right there together so everybody will be able to see it as we're going through it. But I don't expect you guys to take more than 2 or 3 minutes per pick, probably, just like a normal draft would be. So, and MJ says play another full season, pilot season. Yeah, that's probably what we're going to do.
Yeah,
that's probably what
maybe where the draft's not so jacked up, and
yeah,
like that's why I'm excited that I can make King of the Castle with that draft I had. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was actually you two that were the ones that ended up having the auto draft, wasn't it? Yeah, you guys got screwed.
Yeah, my kid's birthday party was for the draft during the draft, but I still managed to beat Kevin, so I'll take it.
Wow.
And then I beat Brian, so well.
This is past week, yeah.
I love trying to figure out who's where on your screen. It's great.
Yeah, how that works. Are you guys ready?
I'm born ready.
Let's
do this.
Oh. Well, you're still here, and welcome to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. It's Brad, Eric, a Josh, but just an average Josh, Kevin, and Brian from the FSA. They're all here. We're going to get week 16 done and over with. Woo! I should have prepared that intro a little more, boys. I don't know what happened there.
Gotcha.
So all you can see is me and Eric. Wait, well, of course. You know what? No, I got controls of this, so I can.
Now we can. Yeah, we got all the powers now.
You know what we need to do? We need to figure out a way to trim that, or because I don't want it to sound bad if you guys just cut out of that intro. You can cut out.
No, it's fine. I usually go long enough. I just wasn't ready.
Perfect.
I'm using more Mountain Dew. No, it's my bad. Always my bad. Never your bad.
Too much eggnog. That's all right.
We're nogging it this week.
We're nogging it.
So thank you for the 4 people that are still here. This is more than we usually have. Let's get ready to go. It is week 16. Average Josh just gave you his top dog. Kevin gave you his top dog. We're going to give you some heroes and villains. We're going to give you – we talked about some of the NFL news. I want to see if there's any more really relevant fantasy news. Carson Wentz has came out and said that he doesn't want to play anymore for the Eagles if he's going to be a backup.
No, he should be better.
Should have thought about that when you signed that big deal.
He's still
yeah. So
you guys ever watch Blue Mountain State? No. Backup quarterback's the best position on the team.
Yeah.
You get all the ladies. He's making plenty of money. Sit on the bench and get paid. What are you worried about? I don't get it.
Either playing as the backup quarterback or apparently per that TV show, it's the mascot as well.
Yeah. That'd be all right too. So I don't know what he's crying about, but he wants to be a starter somewhere. Just real quick, any teams that would actually try to take him? The Patriots. Okay. You think the Pats would take him? Kevin's probably rolling right now. Like, no, please.
Yeah.
We kind of had a conversation earlier this
You want
week.
Carson Wentz, Kevin?
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
We
Maybe
had
it's
a
Washington.
Another one, Washington. They still got to pay Alex Smith, man.
Yeah.
See, I think the Bears would take him because they
Colts.
love expensive contracts and not good quarterbacks. So.
Houston
I think
likes
the
to do
best
that as
fit-
well.
Yeah.
Houston,
seems to do that as well.
yeah,
we-
but they
I
got the
think the best fit for him is going to be the Colts.
Yeah.
He knows Reich. They're going to need a quarterback anyway because they got Rivers. So
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but they still got the brisket there. Everybody forgets that he's there. I still think he's a starting quarterback.
I like.
I mean, if
brisket
that was the
personally.
case, then why'd they bring in Rivers?
Is he a Super Bowl winning? Can you win a Super Bowl with Jacoby Brissett? And I think that's what they have is.
But Carson Wentz isn't going to do it for you either because he hasn't done it. Philadelphia's won a Super Bowl, but not with him at the helm.
He got him to that spot in the playoffs.
We say
He was
that.
having an MVP season. He hasn't had anything since then. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying he is either, but he throws the ball better than Cam right now. Keenan Allen, hamstring, doesn't practice. If you made it to a championship week in spite of Keenan Allen's doo-doo he gave you, I know if Empty Wagon Josh was here, he would have a little tear shed because of that.
Yeah, I love you, Keenan.
Are you going to trust him this week? Would you be rolling Keenan Allen out in your lineup, Eric?
Keenan Allen this week. They are playing the Broncos. Yeah, I would probably. I feel okay having him go against the Broncos.
But what if he does the same thing he did against the Raiders, where pretty much after halftime he doesn't even come on the field? Like, I mean, it's championship week. There's no for not everything. I know there are FSA some other weeks, but there's a lot of weeks where this could be the end of it.
That defense is okay, and he's very good. And Herbert's been fantastic for most of the year that he's been playing. So I think if you have him, you have to play him. You can be nervous about it, but I would still play him.
You have to put him in there if he's healthy. If he's starting, unless he's got 3 broke legs,
right? Because his volume is too high. You can't. Opportunity is still king. You got to have him in there because he's going to see a lot of targets. So
Actually, a decent amount of news here.
what you got?
So, starting it off, this one's for Kevin here because it's about the Patriots. Play Stephon Gilmore on the IR.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that came out like 45 minutes ago.
Yeah,
That's big news. That's really big.
Joe
I don't think
Mixon.
that's really matter.
Joe Mixon's out this week.
Surprise.
Nick Mullins most likely going to need surgery, so that means Beathard playing this week.
they just signed Josh Rosen.
Yeah, they picked up Josh Rosen off the practice squad for the Dolphins, which I thought I didn't think he was going to move that fast. I figured they'd wait till the draft and maybe try and move him for a pick, but
So that's his third team in 4 years as a first-round pick, right?
yeah.
Number 10 overall.
Also, Cam Akers is out this week against the Seahawks.
Just seeing here on NFL.com, I just picked up Marcus Mariota in the King of the Castle because I got pillaged by Kevin. I just see Derek Carr as a full participant in Raiders practice as of today, though, so I don't know what that's going to look like. It is a super flex league for us, though, so I don't have to start the second quarterback if I don't want to.
Yep. Damian wants to say Keenan Allen, he's one of the most consistent wide receivers. Just play and pray. Yep. And Rosen was on the Buccaneers practice squad. That is correct. He was down there learning from terrific Tom. You're muted, Eric. Thanks for talking on mute. It works. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's right. He was backing up Tom Terrific. I forgot about that. Yep.
I think Damian put out in the group the other day, Keenan Allen, 94-plus receptions last 4 years in a row. Only player to do that.
He just started he started his career with all those injuries, and he got that bad. He's an injury-prone guy. No,
Yeah. He's good in PPR. He's really good.
Yeah.
Nice to have.
But I don't know about Derek Carr. They'll probably roll him out there. Mariota maybe. I don't even like the matchup though. That's the problem. Like, I don't know if
against
the Dolphins,
Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. I don't like that
That
matchup at all.
defense has been looking very, very good.
Xavier Howard's been a monster lately. Like
Leads the
OBJ
league.
interceptions and stuff.
The one-handed grab, yeah. Probably my best bet right now, if I was going to do anything, was now that we know Mullins is out, it's probably to drop Mariota on a waiver wire and pick up San Francisco's quarterback now. So I at least have 2 starting quarterbacks I know that are definitely starting.
you don't have to start 2 in the King of the Castle, man.
Yeah, but if you see my 2 bench players, I need to get something.
Well, all I'm going to say about King of the Castle is Tony Pollard was a free agent right before kickoff last week, and that's how I got 180 points.
It's awesome. It's going to be a fun league once we finally get all the rules set for it. I think
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a fun league.
Yeah, it's
I
going to be a good time.
You can't really blame me for the lack of players on your team either, because the player I took was Big Ben, and he had negative points this past week, so it wasn't like I took much from you.
There's another guy that started to look real old real quick. I guess he's got arthritis in his elbow, and then he obviously had surgery, and he's looked banged up. He's looked bad.
I mean, that was a bruiser of a game, so I can't blame him too much. Nobody was ever open for more than half a second. I guess that's what happens when you dance on logos.
That's what happens when you're dancing on logos. Yeah.
They're trending down at the wrong time, and they can't run the ball. They've had less than 50 yards rushing in like 4 of the last 5 games or something like that. Like you can't go into the playoffs not being one dimensional like that. That's going to hurt.
True.
Especially when your receivers just sit there and drop the ball constantly. So.
Yeah, very reminiscent of, I believe it was Andy Reid's first year with Kansas City, or one of his first couple of years there when they went 9-0 and then almost lost every game after.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Forgot about that. Doesn't matter now. He's got a ring, so he's good to go. And he's got the best young quarterback in football. He'll be all right.
Former Bengals.
Oh, go ahead.
One last piece of NFL news that I got. We're talking about away from the players of this. Former Bengals coach Marvin Lewis expected to interview for the Texans head coaching job.
He did interview. Yep,
he did
that today.
Mm-hmm.
He interviewed today. Yeah, I saw that. I think on my drive home.
Oh, I wonder how well that went.
It's Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, an 8-8 team.
Yeah, that's a lateral move from old Bill O'Brien there. So I don't like that.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. If you want a guy who still can't win playoff games, go for it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's your guy.
Yeah, they'll be great. Deshaun will be very happy, I'm sure, with that hire.
Damian always coming in with these great stats. Oh, there it is. Last team to go 11-0, then lose 3 straight. 2010 Saints, and they won the Super Bowl. So, Steelers fans, there you go. I mean, they did use an onside kick and Peyton Manning and.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, onside kick at the beginning of the second half.
Yeah.
Yep. Was that a replica? Was that a replica Super Bowl ring you just showed?
Yes, it is.
Hey, you could just say it's a real one. Be like, "Yo, found one, pawn shop. Dude was hard on his luck."
I don't know. I'll show my age here. I say my mommy got it for me.
I mean, it's not really hard to grab one when there's only one to reach for.
What are you talking about? That makes them rare when there's only one. I mean, for you, it's common because there's 6 of them.
All right. Heroes and villains times. I have Josh's. I know he's not here right now, but I'll try to decipher his Da Vinci Code on why he picked these guys.
I can fill in for Josh.
Oh, there you go. I'll say the name.
Go.
Try to figure out why. It's a fun little exercise we'll do here. How well do you know the empty wagon? Oh, man. I'll start it off, though. My quarterback this week at the hero position is Mitchell Trubisky.
Wow.
Yeah, Mitchell Trubisky. And
you know what I need to do? I need to write these down while we're doing it live tonight.
No, don't do that. Come in tomorrow and try to remember off the top of it. They're playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars we already talked about. They're done. They got their eye on their prize of Trevor Lawrence. And I don't think they're going to get up to play. I'm not saying the players aren't going to, but the coaches and the schemes are going to rest as many players as they need to for the offseason. And Mitch has looked good. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be a top dog like, the average bro guys do, but he'll be one of those guys that can be a QB1 that you're going to get off the waiver wire and can win you this week.
It's a great matchup.
Going here, yeah.
It is, yeah.
If anybody can screw it up, it's Mitch Trubisky.
Who's had 6 touchdown games before? Okay.
Brad's not wrong, though. He's looked great the last couple of weeks. Like, watching the game live here, it's like the whole team has been revitalized with him under center now.
Oh, Matt Nagy's not calling the plays anymore. Yeah.
That also helps.
A laser.
I mean, they've got a running game going on now that's helping them. So,
it's weird when you can set up like play action and your quarterback doesn't have to worry about getting clobbered all the time. It's weird, crazy. I can't believe it.
Eric, who do you have at the QB position this week?
So we're going to have some average bros, empty wagon synergy here because I'm going with Jalen Hurts against my trash squad. So he's been QB7 over his – I know he's only got 2 starts, but he's been QB7 over his 2 starts. 614 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 INT, 198 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. And Dallas's defense is 26 versus QBs, giving up an average of 23 points a game. So I think he's just going to give them fits. They don't have the linebackers to cover him on the run-pass option. They don't have the defensive ends to – I know everybody likes DeMarcus Lawrence and everything. He's okay. He's not great, though. He's a good pass rusher, but he's not good at setting the edge. So I think he's going to give him fits with the RPO with Miles Sanders. So he's going to have a big week. And he looks so composed, too. He fumbled that one play towards the end of the game there. He fumbled, picked it right up, kept his eyes downfield, made a nice throw, converted for a first down. I mean, he's going to be good for a while, I think. And nobody's got tape on him. What's that?
He's also improved. His second week was better stat-wise and points-wise than week 1. So I think that he only grows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a lot of tape yet. So next year might be a different story after people get a chance to, review stuff on him. But we'll see. For this year, I think he's going to be good for a while.
Does he get better, though, when the rest of the team is healthy? Wide receivers have been banged up. Tight ends have been banged up. Miles Sanders isn't playing to what we thought Miles Sanders was going to, even though I think he's been a hero a couple times on Heroes Islands. Does he get better as the team around him gets healthy?
I would think so, and particularly with the offensive line. But he doesn't really have a good – I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, let's face it, even if he's healthy, he's not really like a world beater anymore like he used to be. Hopefully in the offseason, they can go out and get somebody to pair with who's the rookie they took? Jalen Reagor. Hopefully they can come on. He can get some chemistry with him in the offseason. They get a full offseason. He can learn the playbook better. And then Miles Sanders is still young. Really, it's the offensive line that needs to get healthy, and hopefully they can get some depth there because it seems like they're hurt there every year, and it always kills them. Carson Wentz was running for his life. At least with Jalen Hurts, you've got some mobility. He can climb the pocket or get outside the pocket and make throws on the run. Poor Wentz, man, he was just taking a beating there. So I think he definitely gets better as the team around him gets healthy and gets better for sure.
And he's a young quarterback. They love to throw their tight ends. You've got Ertz and Goddard there, probably the 2 best pair that you can probably have on a team right now. Didn't show it so much this year, but last year's numbers definitely helped out with that. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing. I mean, they still play in a very trash NFC least. So, and maybe they look good. What happened to you, Brad?
I don't. Can you guys see me? Because
we got you.
Okay, whatever. My computer's messed up. It says it's not working. I don't know. I'm just doing it live.
You're here.
I always
man.
see Kevin and Eric. I don't know what's going on. This is what happens when you do this thing during the pandemic. All right. So Josh is taking Baker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And the Jets.
That
Some
is
cojones right there.
Yeah, that's easy to defend there. I could easily back that. Cleveland going against the Jets. I mean, the Jets are easily, I believe one of the worst. They're the 3rd worst passing defense, allowing 279 yards a game. And Baker Mayfield, with the weapons that he has, not only in Landry, but as well as believe they're Kareem Hunt. If he ever wants to dump it off to Nick Chubb here and there for my sake. But definitely I would get behind that. Baker Mayfield being a hero this week. You can't go wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. No, that should be a solid pick. Positive game script might hurt his stats a little bit, but he'll be good for the first half.
That would be my only problem is they just lean on the running game and
they get ahead early and then they just end up going to the run game. That's the only downside to it.
Yeah, I could see those backs having a game like the Miami backs did last week. Both of them go for 100 yards, a score piece, or over 200 yards and have a score piece.
But Nick Chubb rushes for 200.
Yeah, and Cleveland's still playing for that division.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a shot at that division. They're only a game out. So,
and the other thing is too, looking across the entire schedule right now, and we're talking about. So for them to be a hero, we're talking top 12 for the week, right? Yeah. A lot of what I'm seeing here as far as the schedule goes this week leans really run heavy just about every single game. So it could be very easy for him to finish in the top 12, whether they are running themselves or not.
My only concern would be for him is if they go up too far too early and he gets pulled. If they're watching the game, if they go up and he gets pulled in the fourth and doesn't play any of it, you could watch other players get garbage time touchdowns because of them being behind and see yourself out that way. But overall, I think it's a safe bet against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it's never wrong to bet against the Jets. You know what I'm saying?
God, it's really hard right now.
I'm Chargers fan. We bet against them too. All right, so I'm going to roll with Josh here, and I'm pretty much just going to pop up Damien's message right here. He says David Montgomery is going to win a bunch of teams championship this week, and that's Josh's running back hero. This is the fourth week in a row, I think, on the empty wagon between the three of us. We've called David Montgomery, and since their bye week, since he came off injury, the dudes looked like a solid RB1 every week. I don't know how you can go against that. We already talked about Jacksonville kind of just out of it. Maybe there'll be some Minshew magic there, but
yeah, I think you guys took 1 week off. Other than that, this is fourth time in at least 5 weeks that you guys have had him as a hero across the whole landscape.
Yeah, he's jumped up to wide receiver 6 on the season in PPR. He's looked fantastic. He's been incredibly efficient over the last 4 weeks. So
he's wide receiver 6. We'll see it running back.
I guess. I don't think he caught that.
No,
what's that?
You said wide receiver 6. I wonder where he ranks running back. He's a little distracted. He's got to take care of his kid. While he goes and does that, I will give you my running back this week, and it's Miles Sanders. Okay, it's Dallas. It's Dallas, man. I know they played okay last week, but Miles Sanders with Jalen Hurts back there has looked pretty good. I mean, not what we expected before the season started, but I like Miles Sanders a lot against Dallas. I think Jalen Hurts, they saw a formula that worked against the Saints. Him airing it out isn't what really works. It's worked the ground game. Doug Peterson, whenever Carson Wentz isn't there, looks like Bill Belichick. He knows how to scheme properly. When Carson Wentz is there, he doesn't know what to do. Like, it's just a fact. And the only person I can see is Kevin, so I hope you agree.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you there. I think that they look a lot like last year's Ravens offense with this. You see high scoring, high touchdowns out of your Mark Ingram, but everything else is you make your quarterback your running back too on the team. And Hurts can do it as long as they do it smartly and keep him upright and healthy. And it's, not your first option. You're not, running everything RPO or trying to be Cam and do everything with his legs, because like we said last week, or said early in the show last week, he did have success throwing the ball, especially making heads up plays like after the fumble for the first down play. So I think that moving forward, that having that pairing will work well for Sanders. So definitely a smart play.
Well, Eric, you're muted, but I don't know what's going on over there. But it looks
my little guys are running amok in here, so
that's all good, man. Let him go. Bring him up on screen. Let him see it. Everybody, all the other empty wagon kids have been up here.
If he had pants on, I would, but
okay, that's probably a good call. We don't need that. None of those FCC violations here.
Yeah.
So who's your running back this week, Eric?
I'm going with the Miami running backs this week. They looked good last week. Gesicki and Parker are banged up. Breida and Ahmed combined for 208 yards. Last week, Ahmed had 23 for 122 and a score, and Breida had 12 for 86. And if I'm not mistaken, the Raiders are pretty bad against – yeah, they're 30th against running backs overall this year, giving up an average of 22 points a game to running backs. So I think they'll look good. I think Mariota was just a flash in the pan. He wasn't that good with Tennessee. I don't think he's going to be that good if a team actually has time to prep for him. So I think they'll run the ball just fine this week.
And Miami's kind of doing the RBBC right now. They don't really have a number one there. I did pick up Ahmed in one of my leagues to try to help me get through here. Well, King of the Castle, just so I can get out of that lower level. So Miami running back's what we're going with. So find that great graphic. See if I can get both of them paired next to each other in a picture.
So Gaskins is.
I mean, if
also
I have to pick
activated.
one, Ahmed's the guy. You said Gaskins back?
Yeah, they activated him off COVID IR list. Yeah, so pick one, bud.
I'm going with Ahmed. Go with Ahmed.
I got you.
All right, who's Josh giving me?
Well, it was already David Montgomery. We already kind of talked about it. But if you want to do Josh, man, here's the wide receiver. Cooper Kupp versus is it Seattle? It's I've wrote it down, but I can't read it now.
Well,
Rams
yeah,
Seattle.
with how like Seattle is a good team, but they on the other side of the ball, they are the worst passing defense, allowing almost 300 yards a game. Favorable matchup, especially since how I know Brian and Kevin over the weeks have been saying that Jared Goff is a very up and down player. And this past week with the Jets was, I guess, his down week.
So this will be his up week.
Yes, so this will be his up week. Yeah, no.
So in the Meathead League, that's what got me into the playoffs. I have Goff and Ryan on that team, and I kept starting the wrong one. So I finally sat down and looked at that pattern. So if Goff had a down week last week, this should be his up week. What surprises me, though, is he takes Kupp and not Robert Woods instead, Bobby Trees.
So Goff, let's say from week 11, he had 29, 1 point, 26, 16, 16. So, I mean, going against the worst passing defense, he could only go up from 16.
He played the Jets, man. I get it. They're not ranked the worst, but
It sounds like a nice bounce back story, but Josh, you don't have to defend other Josh if you don't want to. Nobody's holding you hostage here.
It's not a completely crazy pick with Cooper Kupp. It's just as long as Goff can get him the ball.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
they live and die with Goff, and we'll see. Maybe Darrell Henderson can run the ball a little bit this week and give him some time to throw and maybe set up some
Akers is out, right? We said Akers is out this week.
Yeah, Akers got a high ankle sprain, so he's probably done for the rest of the regular season. So if you were leaning on him,
well, they still got to share a playoff spot. They didn't secure that last week. So
nope.
I'm going to go with my wide receiver because Damian kind of gives me a little segue here. He says Juju and Allen Robinson both be looking for new teams at the end of the year, and he says they'll both probably end up in the Eagles. I don't know so much about that, but I am going Allen Robinson this week. Same thing. It's Trubisky versus Jacksonville, and that's his number one guy. I know Darnell Mooney's look good, but if he's peppering somebody with targets, it's A-Rob. A-Rob in a plus matchup. Championship week, it's got all the fixings of just fantasy gold. The whole Bears team, for some reason, championship week 16, looks really good.
Only thing we're missing right now is the tight ends. Anybody got him for a hero?
I haven't even picked those yet. I'm doing it live.
It's such a crapshoot. Yeah, we'll figure out.
I'm getting a 32 sided dice and just going to roll it whenever it hits. That's the team I'm picking.
I've got at least 18 for you right here.
Yeah. Eric, who is your wide receiver this week?
So I hadn't heard the Stephon Gilmore news until we brought it up on the show here, and I said, Stephon Gilmore be damned. I'm going with Diggs, Stephon Diggs, the other Stephon. He is wide receiver 3 on the season. 147 targets, 111 receptions, 1,300 yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't care who you are. You're probably not going to be able to cover him. I think Josh Allen's going to have a field day with that team. They never run the ball. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary owners, I feel bad for you because they haven't done anything all year because they just let Josh Allen run the ball. He's the best running back they got. So I think he's going to have a good day with them. And the Patriots are 8th versus wide receivers this year, but I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball against that defense. Tre'Davious White is really good. Their defensive line is good. I just think they're going to struggle all day, and Josh Allen's going to be able to do whatever he wants because that defense is going to be on the field and they're going to be tired.
Yeah, and I mean, so Stephon Diggs, if you're worried about the injury, the head coach for Buffalo said he will be practicing today. We won't know for sure if that happened until Thursday, but the fact that he's out there trying to do some kind of practice is all really good news.
Yeah,
I do worry now they've already secured the division, but like we talked earlier, they do have seeding in mind now because they can move up to the 2, which gives them a better matchup.
for sure.
Home field.
Yep.
So I would have to disagree and play devil's advocate to that, only because if you look at it, Stephon Gilmore has not played over wide receiver 1 in a few weeks. He has actually slid because of injuries and timing into the slot guy, and it has been J.C. Jackson, who has had a phenomenal year on the year. So I would just be wary of that. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I do think the Bills win this game. I think that Josh Allen will do more with his legs and have a great week himself. I don't know, however, so much about Diggs.
Okay.
How do we mute that guy?
I don't
We
know.
all have the power to mute that guy now, right?
All right. Now it's time for everybody's favorite position, the one that we say names, and they're usually not right. It's the tight ends. Eric, you want to go first? Because Josh didn't even pick one. So.
I'll go with let's see. I'll go with Logan Thomas since I dogged him last week and he made me look foolish. So I'll go with Logan Thomas because if Dwayne Haskins in there, he's really the only target apparently he can see on the entire field. Antonio Gibson is still banged up. He's questionable. Alex Smith is questionable. And apparently Dwayne Haskins doesn't like Terry McLaurin, likes strip clubs and not wearing a mask, but he likes Logan Thomas. So we'll go with that. Hopefully he sees a lot of targets in another 100-yard game.
So normally I'd really like if we were recording this on a Friday night because I would know if this guy's going to play. But Hunter Henry right now is dealing with an illness. Didn't practice on Wednesday. Dad, you need to take care of your kid. All right? But Hunter Henry is who I'm going to say right now because I think he does end up playing for the LA Chargers. And he's had really good tight end weeks is what I want to call them, with double-digit points the last 2 weeks. And that's really all you can look at with these tight ends. And with the fact of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams being banged up, he's the best option there besides Austin Eckler.
Touchdown probably gets him in the top 12.
Yep. So Hunter Henry is who I'm going with. Homer pick. I'm following average Josh's lead here and just stick with the team you love watching.
Are we saying Mike Gesicki is a little bit too obvious for a pick here?
I think he's still banged up.
My problem is I don't know if he
Still
plays.
out?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
I
trying
would
to.
love to say him. If I knew he was going to play, he was limited again with the shoulder. But he didn't play last week. If he plays, yeah, but this is another problem with recording on a Wednesday night and picking these dudes who are kind of banged up.
Then you know what? I'm gonna try and do.
You can go Gesicki though. Josh loves Gesicki. You and Josh can mock up.
I don't want
to it up and.
I don't want to give him a hero that ends up not playing. So my second best
We've done it before.
player is I'm gonna say Rob Gronkowski.
God, that's a good pick. I almost went Gronk this week.
Going against Detroit, lower part of the table here for passing defense. And obviously Tom Brady and Gronk, they have some type of love interest with each other.
Yeah, it hedges the bet with your brother there with Top Dog. Got it. It works. Smart play.
Yeah. So Kevin, I'm gonna need you to talk to Tom or whatever, because I know you're in cahoots with him for the Top Dog pick. So tell him to give it all to Gronk. I
don't care who scores offensively as a receiver on that team, as long as it comes out of Brady's hands. It's good in my book.
So disappointed that Cole Kmet didn't get picked in this. We've already got the trifecta of the Bears. We should have made it a quadfecta and put him in there.
I couldn't pick 3 Bears, man. And Cole Kmet burned me last week. He burned me hard. Okay, he had 2 targets.
The Jags are incredibly bad against tight ends though. So Cole Kmet probably getting the end zone this week. Probably.
You know what, Brian? You want to put a pie on it? Brian, me and you've never done a pie bet. I'll take Hunter Henry, you take Cole Kmet.
Has Brian ever done a pie bet?
This could be the first one.
Do it, boss. Do it.
Yes.
Woo! There it is.
Yes. Let's do it. I mean, I thought the quadfecta was coming out anyway. She didn't pick them. I mean, Chicago and Jacksonville.
Yeah, no, everything's right for it to be there. It's just I didn't want to pick 3 Bears.
So what are we going? Kmet against
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. Okay, I didn't know if we were doing that or Kmet against Robinson.
No.
No. Lord, no. I'm not that stupid.
Well, it was like same team. I didn't know if we were
I might as well go ahead and put the pie in my face right now. Where's the whipped cream?
Do one now,
right.
do one later.
So, Brian, you got these heroes and villains. I'll do a quick recap, though.
Yep.
My heroes are Mitch Trubisky, Miles Sanders, Allen Robinson, Hunter Henry. Josh has Baker Mayfield, David Montgomery, Cooper Kupp, and with the average Josh's pick of Rob Gronkowski if Mike Gesicki doesn't play as their pick.
Yes.
And Brian threw in a little tight end, little whisperer out there, threw in a little Cole Kmet.
I like it. I like it a lot. So much I can't wait to see the pie in your face.
And I'm trying to think who Eric picked, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I have
Eric
it.
picked Jalen Hurts, Ahmed, Stephon Diggs, and Logan Thomas.
There it is.
Yeah,
Now
Hurts, Ahmed, Diggs, Thomas.
Let's get into the people that are going to break your hearts in this championship week or whatever week you were playing in week 16. And let's get into this. And I'm going to go villains. And I'm going back-to-back this week. He wasn't a villain last week, but God, during it, Matt Ryan, you will be a villain. Okay, Matt Ryan?
This is his week on the downside.
Yeah. They're going to Arrowhead this week. So him outdoors, Matt Ryan, I don't like it at all. So yeah, I know there's no fans in Arrowhead, but or very little fans compared to it, but it's going to be cold. Matt Ryan, I get it. He played at Boston College, but he doesn't like the outdoors as much.
It says 48 degrees and sunny.
That's 48 degrees is about 30 degrees less than it is in that dome.
That's true. I would worry about garbage time for him. That he'll make
garbage time might get him there, but the Chiefs' defense has actually been really good.
Oh no, they're solid, absolutely. Yeah. But I worry that he's just going to have to. He's going to throw so much.
He always throws so much. He gets all those yards. I'm hoping no touchdowns.
Yeah, well, Calvin Ridley might have something to say about that. We'll see.
He's so good. I love Calvin Ridley. I'm so glad I picked him up in my NCFF league.
Nice.
So good.
Solid.
All right. Average Josh, you ready for this? Ryan Tannehill is Josh's villain.
Ryan Tannehill.
Playing the Packers.
Are they in Lambeau? Yeah, they're at Lambeau.
They're in Lambeau. Packers, top 10 defense all around. You can't
What bodes well is he just came off of a big game. So that means that it's Derrick Henry's week to go off.
Yeah, I think I kind of follow what Damian said when Damian said that Derrick Henry was his top dog. I think they go strictly to the run game. You know, they might get a decent amount of passes in there, but I think it's going to be all Derrick Henry. 200-yard game for him again, if anything.
I took them in a pick'ems at work, and yeah, I think they're just going to be like, nobody's going to want to hit Derrick Henry in 28-degree weather over and over and over again, and they're going to get real sad in the second half when he's still barreling into them at full speed. So,
like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan to get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric, who is your quarterback villain this week?
Dangerous Wilson.
Wow.
Because he's been
cooking?
I'm out. He ain't cooking. The stove's been cold. He ain't made anything good in weeks. Who are they playing?
Leftovers.
They're playing the Rams.
They're playing the Rams. So he's been QB 10 over the last 8 weeks, but he's had 16 or less points in 4 of his last 6 games. 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, but 16 sacks over that time period. Rams are the best team in the league versus QBs, only giving up 14 points a game. Aaron Donald coming at you. You got Jalen Ramsey over there on the outside. Tyreek Hill.
Hill. I can't think of his first name either.
No, who's their receiver? Tyler Lockett has looked terrible over the last 8 weeks. And DK Metcalf, yeah, he came out for a bit last week. He didn't do much either. I just don't trust their offense. They can't run the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively against these guys. Even if Rashard Penny magically comes off the bench and tries to save them, Chris Carson didn't look good, and they don't really have anybody else. So they're in a weird funk, and I don't think they're going to get right this week.
And when the Seahawks played the Rams last time, that was the start of Russ not cooking no more.
Yeah.
He didn't throw a touchdown. He had a fumble. He had 2 interceptions. Barely ran the ball and threw for under 300 yards. So he had a terrible game, and that was the start of really the end of the Russ we saw from the first half. Yeah.
And the Rams have had 2 pick sixes over the last 3 weeks too. Not this past week, but 2 weeks prior to. Same guy.
They're using Jalen Ramsey in ways I didn't think anybody would ever use him.
Right? Yeah, they've really gotten creative with him, and man, he looks like he's just having a ton of fun. So. And their other corner is playing really well too, and I can't remember his name, but he's played excellent too. So
that's the guy that's got the 2 pick sixes. Hills, for whatever his first name is, last name is Hill. Yeah,
yeah, he's out there reading eyes and jumping routes. So he's looked really good.
All right,
I think
Eric,
the MVP talk to get him in.
What was that, Kevin?
Maybe.
The MVP talk. As soon as that heated up, and they said that he might get a vote this year, instant garbage.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, it did fall off.
Can't
Jeez.
do that. Can't do that. All right, Eric, who is your running back villain?
Running back villain is Mike Davis this week. He's been running back 15 over the last 8 weeks, but 10 points or less in 6 of his last 8 games. Only 3 rushing touchdowns and no receiving touchdowns over that time. Washington, that front's good. They're really good. 5th best against running backs this year. I don't think they're going to give up a lot to him. I think Teddy Two Gloves is going to have his hands full, even just trying to get the ball. I know DJ Moore looked good last week. I was thinking about taking DJ Moore as one of my villains this week. I didn't end up doing that, but I think they're going to struggle against that defense as a whole.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. My running back villain this week is DeAndre Swift. He's been really good the last few weeks, but now Tampa Bay's defense comes in there. And Tampa Bay's defense, I think they're a little embarrassed of what happened in the first half against the Falcons last week.
They should be.
I think they're going to come out there with a banged-up Matthew Stafford, with no Kenny Golladay again this week. Oh, my God, has there been a bigger bust?
Why didn't I not putting that guy on? I don't know.
I so regret taking him in FSA. God, that killed me.
Kenny Golladay. But DeAndre Swift this week, you could not start him against Tampa Bay with everything on the line where it is. I don't like it at all. Tampa Bay's defense has been really, really good against the run. I know last week everybody's going to be like, but Matt Ryan lit him up. Yeah, but Todd Gurley still didn't really do much. So,
well, when you have arthritis in your knee, it's a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, so Hill hasn't looked bad. Smith hasn't looked bad, but none of them looked good last week.
Yeah. Yeah, Swift has been a guy who's came on strong, and he's a guy that, for dynasty purposes, we like going forward. But, yeah, this week against Tampa, no. Not doing it. I mean, Sleeper even says could struggle against the Bucs. Well, nice little headline there. Josh is taking the whole Arizona backfield against the 49ers this week. All of them.
Oh,
He's
my
taking
goodness.
all of them.
No, I didn't a lot of work with here.
He took all of Seattle last week as his villain, too. This has become a thing.
Pick one, Josh. Pick one.
49ers top 10 rushing defense. I don't know who it was. One of you guys on the empty wagon that said it, that they're starting to get healthy again. Obviously, they're without their young stud Nick Bosa, but they're down their top running back with Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson's been looking all right. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the wrong team.
There you go,
wrong team. But yeah, they're a top 10 defense.
That guy.
I don't even know where Kenyon Drake's been, lining up here. He's had some up weeks. He's had some down weeks. Last week he put up only 5 points against the Eagles, and that tells you something. Going against from what I would say is better defense with San Francisco, I wouldn't trust Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, or whoever they have in the backfield. So I'm going to trust my name-sharing partner here with Empty Wagon Josh.
Yeah, no, I think I agree too. Drake's not probably going to get in the end zone, and that's usually where all his value's at. And Chase Edmonds has looked very streaky at best this year. All righty. Moving on to the wide receiver position. I got Brandon Ayuk, and it's really because CJ Beathard's at quarterback there against Arizona. It's not that Arizona's defense is that good, but just CJ Beathard with Josh Rosen maybe playing. Like, the 49ers are so banged up and beat up. I get it. Kyle Shanahan's good about getting his people into spots to make it work, but Ayuk's the only dude out there. Jeff Wilson Jr. at running back. It's just falling apart for the 49ers. It's what Eric says. Those teams that make it to the Super Bowl and lose, stay away from them the next year.
You real for somebody last week, yeah?
Yeah, he was Eric's hero last week.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
He had 20-plus points. But this week, and Swift was a hero, I think, for one of the guys last week too. But this week, these dudes, they might have got you to the championship game. I can't rely on them in a championship game.
Kittle is also slated to come back too. So that does not bode well for Ayuk.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode
All right,
well for
Eric.
Kittle either.
Eric, I'll give you a second since you're I'm pretty sure it's not too quiet. You ready? You good? Okay, go for it. Give us the wide receiver.
You say
He whispered it.
AJ Brown. AJ Brown.
Oh, wow.
He's still whispering. So Josh picked Tannehill, right, to have a down week.
Mhm.
He did.
Okay, so I think they're going to key on him, not AJ Brown this week. Packers sixth best team versus wide receivers this season, 19 points per game, eighth versus QBs. He's been up and down in his last four. He had 25, then 10, then 24, then 15. I think they're going to key on him and try to make Corey Davis beat him. And I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big day. So I don't think Tannehill and AJ Brown go off this week.
Would you start Corey Davis, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think they'll lean coverage towards AJ Brown for sure.
Lean the covers.
Yep. Yeah, one
Nice, man. Get your Flavor Flav over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, all right, average Josh.
All right, what am I dealing with now?
DK Metcalf versus the Rams.
Oh, geez. How am I supposed to explain this? I would have rather said Tyler Lockett against the Rams.
Well, Josh knew he wasn't going to be here to defend it. So he just
Somebody had Tyler Lockett last week, though.
So the only thing I can say is the Rams have number one defense, or considerably number one defense on both sides of the ball. And if the Rams are smart, they would line Jalen Ramsey up against him. And as long as Jalen Ramsey is lining up against him, I think I can get behind having DK Metcalf as a villain this week. But I mean, I don't know. And then to follow, who was it that had Dangerous as a villain? Was it Eric? So I kind of believe that. And I think with Russell Wilson kind of having a down week, it's going to affect DK Metcalf at the same time. So I can kind of sort of get behind it, but at the same time, it's hard to. I think anybody is still going to start DK Metcalf being in the championship.
I think I heard a stat. It was like over the first 8 or 9 weeks, they were averaging the wide receivers 4 touchdowns between all the wide receivers for Seattle a week, and they've had 4 since then.
Wow.
Combined.
So I know Eric had Lockett as a villain last week. I don't remember what you guys said in the replay, though. How'd that play out? Not a good week?
Oh, he was terrible.
He was like 56 or something like that. Something god awful.
Yeah.
I mean, DK's been good over
I'll give
last
you time
year.
to figure out your tight end villain. If you want to say Travis Kelce, go for it. I'll let you do that if you want. But,
I have to come up with a tight end here.
Villain, yeah. You got. He didn't give me one of those either. But I am going to go with. I don't even know right now, but tight end's so bad. Like, who's not a villain at tight end? Like, if you say somebody that's not a top tight end, it's like, well, you're just cheating the system, and that's what I'm really going to do here.
I'll give you mine. TJ Hawkinson against the Buccaneers.
Okay,
you're out, TJ. They're third best against tight ends this week. I don't think he gets into the end zone. I think that offense is going to struggle. So stay away from Hawkinson, as we like to say.
we got Swift and Hawkinson from Detroit on this list this week. Okay,
He can go Waller against a good Miami defense.
I'm not going against Waller, man. I can't go against Waller. He just gets so much work. Dan Arnold. He'll probably get 3 touchdowns this week. He's going up against San Francisco. They're going to have to beat him. Yeah.
I had to ask. I didn't even know who he played for. So that's
He
probably
plays on Arizona. He's got a touchdown over the past 2 weeks. Okay, dudes. He had 20 points a couple weeks ago.
He'll definitely get you 3 touchdowns this week now.
Yeah, because it's tied in position. I don't know.
Kyler Murray will throw all of them to him. Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins won't get any in championship week, but Dan Arnold will.
That's how this year's went. Average Josh, who you got?
Oh man. Who's Atlanta's tight end? Is it Austin Hooper?
Hayden Hurst.
No, Hayden Hurst. Okay. Hooper is the one that they traded to Cleveland, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going with Hayden Hurst. Just because they're going up against Kansas City, obviously. They're playing in Arrowhead. I think that Matt Ryan has an off week. I think that Kansas City's defense gets to him, and he has a big old stinker this week.
Stinkers are not good.
No, they are not. I have a lot to live up for. I'm filling in place of an empty wagon, Josh, so I don't want to fail him here.
No, you'll probably get it right, and you'll probably just
Don't worry.
retire and everything. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna flip mine. I'm gonna flip it to the other guy, George Kittle. They say he's coming back, but I don't know if I can trust George Kittle. Coming off an injury, if you made it to the championship without George Kittle, you probably had a better option. I'm not trusting him in my championship week this week. I'm going to go crazy, and I'm going to say George Kittle.
Oh. So I got let me run down on this week. So I got for Brad's villains, I got Matt Ryan, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. Josh's villains, I got Tannehill, all of Arizona's backfield, DK Metcalf and Hayden Hurst. Eric, for you, I got Wilson, Mike Davis, AJ Brown, and TJ Hawkinson. All right, cool.
You got to get close to the mic when you do that. You can hear the phlegm.
I can't get that much phlegm. I need more water or more other beverages.
Okay, yeah. I think that's about it. Kevin, sitting through your first whole empty wagon experience, how was it?
It was made a lot of noise, as they say about most empty wagons here. So it was a great time.
He meant disappointing, but we'll take what we can get.
Hey, if you guys are still listening here, I want you to go over and I want whatever podcast you're listening to this on, go over, search Fanatically Real, search the Average Bros, find their stream, add it to it, because pretty soon this stream won't be here anymore, and we're going to be over there. We're going to slowly start the merger. So get over there, subscribe to them so you can get pulled in, and you're getting all this content. If you like what Average Josh was talking today, if you're like, man, he sounds a lot better than Empty Wagon Josh, like this dude, he might be average, but
I thought he
did. If you hit a good average in baseball, you're going to Hall of Fame. 333, man, Hall of Fame.
1 out of 3.
Yeah. And if Kevin, if you want to listen to something to soothe you, Kevin's got it.
I definitely, Kevin, as the auctioneer when we do this the league.
Oh, it's got to be.
That's got to be a thing.
I love auction drafts. I really hope that goes off because I love auction drafts. They're great.
So real quick because I know we're kind of on the back end of everything. Kevin, can we get a little impersonation of if you were to be an auctioneer?
No,
I'll put you on the spot here.
He totally froze. I could
sing that old John Michael Montgomery song. Come on.
Not happening. I'm gonna need. Not gonna happen. I'm not in auctioneer shape right now. I need my auctioneer stash and a big cowboy hat. Once we get that, then maybe.
And a gavel. Don't forget your gavel.
I bet.
Yes.
First one ever. Let's do it.
I think it's almost time for Kevin to make a beard bet.
Oh,
I'm gonna put that out there.
I got Josh to put the hair on.
Learn from Empty Wagon Josh's mistakes. No hair.
Kevin has made a beard bet before, but never on FSA before. I think it might be time.
On the line.
Speaking of hair,
hair where your mouth is.
Brad, what was this thing for like 3 or 4 weeks that you had? What was that?
The mustache.
Why?
Mustachio, it's coming back.
The old soup strainer.
Oh, you got to get that thing.
He loves that bad dad. When I first met Brad, he had a mustache. I prefer him with a mustache, actually.
It was ridiculous.
He met me with a mustache. When I shaved, he's like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
It fits his face. I like it.
So,
I like it.
Did it get shaved because you were going down south to visit the wife?
So I was supposed to shave before I got here, but I forgot. So I shaved it like a couple days into being here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. I'm going to bring it back, though. I like it.
Do it.
Keeps that upper lip warm in those, in the frozen tundra.
Yeah, I can't imagine up there.
I got some time off coming, so I'm gonna have a nice beard here soon.
You guys will see a great beard from Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see
Grizzly Adams.
All right, who wants to send this home? Because Josh usually does it, and I hate doing it. Eric, you gonna do this?
Oh wow, I can't. You guys just have this thing about the way you do it. I just can't even impersonate it.
Here, I'll try to mix like Josh and Brad together. And thank you for listening to the Empty Wagon Fantasy
Hold on, I
Football
gotta play the music. Man. I
Podcast.
gotta play the music.
Oh man, now it's over. Thank you for listening to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. It's been Brad, Eric, and Josh, and Kevin, and Average Josh, and Brian. You can reach us at FF Josh Hughes, at Tack Jones, at GunsOfEld19. Kevin, what's your Twitter?
Kevin doesn't actually have a Twitter that he wants to put out. Yeah, we're all muted right now. Yeah. You can follow me at FSA_average Josh. Eric, back to you.
And then you can follow Brian, I think.
Everybody's muted. You all have
Oh my God, I screwed it up. I hit the mute button again. Whatever.
This has
been the worst ending ever to anything. I ruined the FSA. I'm getting fired for this. Go over. Check out FSA on Twitter at FSA-FR.com. Or underscore. Sorry, there we go. Instagram, FSA_FR. The website is FSA-FR.com. The Facebook, @PresFSA. And we're leaving this crap hole.